Hi there everyone. Okay, let's get on with the module at hand. We're now going to start using Wimba Create within Microsoft Word. To do this, we're going to open up the document we'll be using throughout this module and the series of videos that go with it. So you can see the document is called Wimba Create Unformatted Document, and we'll be using this throughout the module. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay. I've opened the document as per usual just by double clicking on it. I am now within Microsoft Word. I'm presented with the usual interface that we should all be familiar with. However, one change you will see is in the top toolbar you now have a tab called Add-ins. This is actually where Wimba Create is located. However, we're not going to run the software quite yet. Before we do, I'd like to make one quick change, which means I can access the styles within Wimba Create more efficiently and easily. To do this, I'm going to go along the ribbon to the end, and I'm going to click on the arrow that's located just below the double A. It's under the change styles heading. You'll see a little arrow that points diagonally down to the right. Click here, and as you can see, I now have the style section up. To make things easier to see in a visual sense, I'm also going to put the show preview on, which actually shows me the headings that are available within Wimba Create. In fact, the eagle eye amongst you will no doubt see we have some different headings under styles now, with all preceded by CG. CG stands for Course Genie, which is what Wimba Create used to be called. However, we now want to start Wimba Create and get adding our metadata and change some, or look at the settings as well. So if you make sure the styles bar is available before you begin any formatting within Wimba Create, it does make things a lot easier. So you just go through that process to do that. I'm now going to go to Add-ins, go to Wimba Create and start Wimba Create. Okay. You can see within the add-ins, Wimba Create has its own menu. There are the multi-choice, multi-response, text match, gap fill, etc. are all question related. We'll be covering those later on. And interactions as well. We'll cover them in later videos. However, I now want to focus on metadata, which is found within the Wimba Create tab. You just click on it and scroll down once. And here's metadata. Within here you can really generate information relating to your course. As you can see, I have my document. I would suggest naming the title of this relating to the module you want to develop. So if you're doing biology, I would call it bio or something to that effect. Biology, or the course you're wanting to develop within Wimba Create. You can also add a short description as well. Cover the life cycle. We'll just go over who the author is. For example, I'm going to put Greg Walters in here. And my department, I can also have the organisation, the status of this particular document or version of Wimba Create module, whether it's a draft or it's in a final version. And you have rights as well and other copyright information that can be added in as well. For the time being, I'm okay with this, so I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, I now have metadata established. I'm also going to do a quick overview of the settings that are available as well. The settings is found under the Wimba Create tab. We now are presented with the following pop-up box, and from here I can, the top option here, you'll find page route. I would suggest changing this to a name that is more relevant to the module you're developing. As I mentioned earlier, if you're doing something in biology or a science or a computer science, I would change it to something that's relevant to the module you're developing. So in this case, I'm going to call it Wimba module, and it means every page that's generated will now have this in it. For example, you can say, for example, it would now be called Wimba module.html, and that means that page is more distinguishable rather than just calling it page, which sounds a bit generic. There is a footer in each of the whenever you generate the module within Wimba Create, there's a footer. You can put additional information here if you wish. So I'm just going to put the module title here. And schemes are the visual look and feel of the module you generate using Wimba Create. There is a top bar and a footer, along with navigation down the left hand side of the screen. These can be customized. You have options for various schemes. In this instance, I'm going to choose English US Red. You may choose a different scheme if you wish. So I'm going to OK that in a moment or two. This isn't a very important section. Accessibility is now required by law. It isn't just a nice add-in, so you have to make the content you're developing as accessible to a wide audience as possible. For example, people who are visually impaired need to be able to see your module using screen readers. Don't worry, this isn't as technical as it sounds. It really is a case of checking rather the boxes here to make sure you cover as many accessibility options as possible. I would suggest making sure you have image alt text clicked on, image long descriptions, table headers, and media long descriptions as well. You can also have pop-ups in new windows, which is another good accessibility option as well. The navigation, as I mentioned earlier, the navigation pane when Wimba generates a module has it down the left-hand side. You can customize these options. You can choose to ignore the index page. You can really customize this to your liking. Content, this is how the Wimba module you create is generated as an output, so it can be normal HTML pages if you wish, or you can of course have it for Moodle SCORM 2004 package. I would suggest using this if you're going to have SCORM compliant questions within your module, and of course you will be uploading this when completed to Moodle. I would suggest using this setting here. Or if you don't have any SCORM compliant questions, just generate it as normal HTML pages. The SCORM, as I mentioned, is relevant when you wish to generate questions within your module that you want to track user data, as in you want to track their progress, how they've scored, etc. You can achieve that by having SCORM compliant questions. We'll cover this later on, don't worry. And as I always say, it's not as technical sounding as I make out, so don't worry about that either. And this is really just the options to export your assessment if you choose to do so. So we've now covered all our settings and all of the metadata we wish to enter for our module. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again, bye bye.